Oi, Carla.
Olá, olha, temos outra vez o mesmo problema.
Do Ricardo.
Eu acho que tem a ver com este user, sim. Tem a ver com o user de market, porque eu no meu, que eu tenho mesmo licença,
Sim.
eu aí consigo fazer pausa.
É que esquisito. Pois, porque das outras vezes eu também consigo, também me aparece o botão do Ricardo quando torno host, mas no outro também não me aparecia nada sequer para o
Sim,
Ricardo.
sim, estranho. Olha, vou-te converter em host, está bem?
Ok, ok, ok. Ok.
Pronto, já
Pronto,
estás
tá.
com isso.
Sim, se quiseres, pronto, se quiseres ficar, podes ficar. Se não quiseres, se tiveres outras coisas para fazer também.
Tenho. Não precisas de nada, Ricardo, desculpa,
Não,
Ricardo.
não tem problema não. Agora é só esperar para eles. Eles disseram para mim eu entrar mais ou menos 5 minutos mais cedo.
Ok,
Mas
pronto.
eu trato a partir daqui.
Epá, se bem que eu devia, tu tiraste print screens.
Não. Mas ele ficou gravado, certo?
Ficou.
Ah, ok. Então foi que ele, pronto. A ver se não me esqueço agora neste e tiro.
Eu saí e não me lembrei de tirar print screens.
Ok, para que também não.
Ah,
Eu agora tiro.
tiras, por favor, para aí uns 3 ou 4, está
Sim, sim.
bem?
Ok.
Tem que aparecer o título, o título do webinar, o brand do vendor, etc. Está
Ok.
bem?
Ok,
Então
ok.
vá.
Vá.
Obrigada então, até já.
Já, já, já,
Até
já,
já.
já. Hi, Ulrich.
Hi, Ricardo. How are you?
How are you? Good, and you?
Good. So, you want me to try to share my screen?
Yeah, of course. I will stop sharing mine.
Just to give it a try. Where was it? Again, here in share screen. Okay. So, share. So, do you see something?
Yes, I'm seeing the. Okay. Now I'm seeing correctly. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So that looks correct to you?
Yep. Yes, I'm seeing the PowerPoint in presentation mode. So.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Then I would say you can start sharing your slide again if you want.
Okay. Okay, we had around, I think, 20 registrations.
Oh, okay.
So let's hope that most of them show up. With some recent webinars, we have seen a decrease in number of attendees. I think it's because in the pandemic, so many webinars were done by everybody.
I know we saw similar things that it's for many customers it was the only way to be invited to an event, and they saw too many of those.
Yes, it was really too many, and let's hope we can soon do like an event together. That would be cool.
That would be really nice. You're based in Lisbon, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, it would be nice to do something there.
Okay, so you are always welcome. So when we can do it, it's great.
So Sven should arrive shortly as well. He was in another meeting just until 4. 3 o'clock your time. So he wanted to jump out a little bit earlier. So I expect him to come any minute, I hope.
Okay. No problem. It's cool.
We'll close my window here. Just
okay.
Just for the noise level, that there's no background noises.
Okay.
There he is, Mr. Sven Hain.
Hi, Sven.
We can see him, but we can't hear him.
Hello.
Now we can hear you. Excellent.
Oh my God, Zoom is doing crazy stuff with my Mac. I just have one monitor left here. No, okay.
It's just...
So I just, can I maybe shortly try to share my screen,
okay, yes,
Ricardo?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay, Zoom would like to...
Oh, we lost him.
Yes, I think we pressed the leave button.
There he is again. Wrong button.
No. I need to reopen always the application if the application don't have access to my desktops. So desktop 1, share. Yeah, so now you should see a VM, right?
Fantastic. Yes,
yeah, great.
we see it.
Perfect.
And the firefighter picture in the background. So
perfect.
We just right on time.
Okay, let's see. Let me just share my screen again. Ok. Bom dia a quem já está presente. Vamos só dar aqui mais 5 minutinhos para o resto das pessoas se juntarem e iremos começar a sessão. Let's just give 5 more minutes for the persons who are still joining.
Perfect.
The good thing is the webinar will be recorded, so this will be posted also on our YouTube channel, so we can reuse it again for future reference.
Great.
So we have to do it especially good today.
Yes.
No
Okay.
pressure.
It will be shared after for our database. So usually also do a communication, also communicating that the webinar is done with the recording. So to be more productive and efficient. Okay, let's just give 2 more minutes to start. I think we can start. Boa tarde a todos. Meu nome é Ricardo Monteiro, sou um dos responsáveis por Quest dentro da TechData. Hoje temos uma apresentação aqui da parte do KACE Unified Endpoint Management. Vamos ter o Ulrich e o Sven a ajudarem-nos com a apresentação. Thank you, Sven, and Ulrich for your help with this. Tenho aqui os meus contactos e vou passar então a palavra. Sven, Uli, if you want, you can start. I will stop sharing, and thank you very much for your help.
Thank you, Ricardo, for the introduction. Unfortunately, my Portuguese is not very good, so that's why we have to do it in English. I hope that's good for everyone. I'm not an English native speaker, so I won't speak very fast and very clear. So I hope that will be fine for you. So, and I just shared my screen. I hope everyone can see my screen. So
Okay.
then I want to welcome everyone to our webcast today. How to battle endpoint cybercrime with KACE. And before we start, I wanted to and also give you the opportunity to ask questions during the session. You see the chat and the Q&A feature in Zoom. So please feel free to use it. If you use it, you can post your question in Portuguese or in English. And I will try, if it's in English, I will try to answer your question during the session. If it's in Portuguese, Ricardo will read them out loud at the end and translate them for us to answer those questions. So please feel free to use the chat and the QA section for that. So quick introduction to us. My name is Ulrich Hustert, and as you probably can hear from my name, I'm from Germany, the same as my colleague Sven Hain, my technical colleague who will do the live demo later on. So before we start, I just want to give you some, show you some slides and give you some background information what we're actually doing. And what I like to show is actually an example on a house. So let's imagine we have a house and there's a criminal want to enter the house. What is he doing? So he is obviously a professional in this area and know exactly what's the best way to access a house. So he will take a look at the possibilities, the easiest way to enter this house. So there might be the front door, but this might be well protected with an alarm system. So he will look around and he looks everywhere in order to find the weakest spot on this house, and maybe goes in through a window, maybe even the chimney. What he's going to do, we don't know. And why do I show this? Because this is a very good example, I think, how also cyber criminals are working. So they look at a company and their weakest spot in their IT environment. So the easiest way how to gain access to your network. And that is exactly what we need to prevent. So if you have your critical systems all protected, of course, that is necessary, but you never should forget all your endpoints and devices in your network or also outside of your network. And with that, I mean, for example, remote work, a lot of home office in the last 1.5, 2 years. So those are very critical points. We need to protect that we can eliminate the weak spots for cyber criminals to access to your network. So, and when I say all devices, and I hope that's not in the way, make it small. So when I say all devices, I really mean all network connected devices. So you should have at least an overview of what devices are connected to your networks. So from computers to servers to mobile devices and also for IoT devices. Those can have different operating systems, and we can discover those using different network protocols or also using our agent in order to also manage those devices. And I mean here, when we talk now about IoT devices, that could be anything connected in your network, like a switch, a router, a network printer. And I also like to give the example, maybe by now also your coffee machine might have a network connection and communicates to the outside world. So anything what has a network connection can potentially be a bridge into your network for a cyber criminal. So, and if we take a look at some numbers now, and you see here on the left side now 3 numbers, and I will explain a little bit about those. So if we see the 61, that means 61% of companies say they have unknown devices in their network. And we just saw that that is a big risk. 70% of all vulnerabilities have their origin on endpoints, meaning on maybe the computer we're working on anything what you have on the network. That is in 70% the cases the bridge for cyber criminals into your network. And the 300% is the increase of the reported cyber attacks since the beginning of the pandemic. So that kind of gives us some idea what is probably happening. As I already said, we see a lot of attacks coming through endpoints, and nowadays, especially when those are not connected on a regular basis to the company network. Why is that? Obviously, the management of those devices is much more difficult for companies and to keep the control of those devices as when they're inside the local network. And that is exactly what we see, that a lot of cyber criminals are taking advantage of those unmanaged devices which are outside of the network and eventually come back maybe into the network using a VPN connection in order to spread into the company network. So how are they actually doing that? So what kind of ways do they find on your device? So in many cases, we see that obviously that is done through email attachments are opened or different websites are visited. Also, we see USB keys are used and they contain some malware. So malware is injected to the system. This enables the cyber criminal to access your system and your device and gives access to all the data on the device. The next point is, once this device is connected back to your company network, this malware can spread. So this spreads usually everywhere it can and often also to critical systems. So what do they want to do, cyber criminals? So of course they want to access data, but what we see lately with all the ransomware attacks is that they actually want to encrypt the data. They want to have money to de-encrypt those data, and that is exactly the way how they work. So how can we protect ourselves against those cyber attacks? So first of all, obviously, we need to know all the devices we have. So we need to have an inventory of all devices. We need to know what kind of firmware or what kind of operating system is installed, what kind of software is installed. And that gives us the base to assess also the vulnerability of a system. So we can perform security scans, vulnerability scans on those systems and see where known vulnerabilities are, and we can protect those devices afterwards with different steps. For example, installing security updates. We can control relevant settings, configurations in order to secure a device. We can also blacklist of unauthorized applications, and we can control local administrative privilege. And that's a point we saw recently a lot with working from home. So to make it easy for the user to install maybe this home printer software, those users were provided with local admin rights. So that is a big problem, because that gives access straight away to the whole system if a cyber criminal managed to get onto your system. So the last point, obviously, it's also USB keys or general ports over which malware can come onto your system. So we should be able to control those USB or in general ports on the system as well. So with that, I think I gave you a little overview. What is a challenge, and what we can do to prevent that. And Sven, at this point, I would like you to show us how that actually looks like and how we can do that.
Of course, thank you very much, Uli, and welcome for today's webinar here. I will share my screen now. Once Uli stopped his sharing. You just need
sharing,
to stop it.
okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And now I will share my screen here. Perfect. Yeah, as Uli said, to generally know what is running in our environment, to secure all the devices in our network, we need to do something to get all of those informations. And I will show you today how we can manage that with our KACE products here. And KACE is basically not just one product. We have different products here to make sure that we can fit your needs. And of course, today I'm just giving you a basic overview about what we can do with our products. And as always, please contact Ricardo if you want to have a demo where we can directly speak together and maybe answer specific questions regarding your environment. So how we can discover, inventory, manage the assets or mobile device control here. I will show you that in our products here. And I will start with one of our appliances, so our systems management appliance. With this appliance, we can make sure that we know what is running in our network. And as Uli said, we can discover and inventory nearly every network connected device. Yeah, so this appliance is an appliance-based model. So it's pretty easy to set that up. Yeah, you are getting a template for VMware or Hyper-V, and then you can just import it in your environment. If you want, you can also host that appliance within the cloud, AWS or Azure, and then we can run it from there. And once the appliance is up and running, we don't need to set up any kind of other server. So everything that we need, like a database, a mail server, etc., is running within that appliance. So it's pretty easy to maintain the whole product here. If we start, we need to install an agent on our machines. Yeah? So if we want to manage our machines, we need to install an agent. This agent is supported for Windows, Mac OS X, several Linux distributions like Ubuntu, Red Hat, and SUSE, and also Raspberry and ARM. So a bunch of operating systems that we support here. And that means once we have installed an agent on the systems, we can manage the whole device. Yeah, it doesn't matter then if we want to deploy software, if we want to install patches or run scripts on the system, we can do it on all of those operating systems. And as you can see here, once the agent is installed, we are getting an automatic inventory. Yeah, so we are getting informations about our hardware. And specifically for Dell, HP, and Lenovo, we are getting, for example, warranty information here to see when our warranty will expire. And of course, if we are clicking on the link, we are coming directly to the support portal of Dell, and we are submitting then the service tag or serial number to be directly in the right section where we want to go to. We are also getting informations about our network interfaces, connected printers, the agent information, which users logged into, operating system informations. And as you can see, we tested a little bit around with Windows 11. So if you want to move on with Windows 11, that is absolutely no problem with our products. We can handle that. And in our next version next week, we are officially supporting Windows 11. But one thing that is also important, and we heard that in the last year a lot, is, for example, Bitlocker Management. So if I ask customers, hey, how do you manage Bitlocker? The most customers telling me, yes, we are using Bitlocker. We enabled that during our deployments. And if I ask them, yeah, how do you make sure if it is really enabled? I mean, the user can also disable it or de-encrypt the client again, yeah. No one is really know if the BitLocker is running or not. And here, for example, we are getting drive encryption informations. As we can see here, the encryption is not enabled and the drive is not protected. And based on these informations, we can run automatically scripts in the background. It's just the default BitLocker PowerShell scripts that we are using here. And then we can make sure that the BitLocker will be enabled. We can make sure that the drive is protected so that the encryption is running. And the great thing is, if I go back to my public one, we can customize the inventory. And that means that we are getting the recovery key back into the inventory here. So we don't need to store that into a text file or within the Active Directory. We can directly get that information into the inventory back. And then if a user or if you as an admin needs that recovery key, just go into that device inventory here and you have directly the information available. The great thing is, as you can see here, we can get all informations out of a device. Yeah, so the custom inventory fields here are completely flexible. We can run scripts to get informations like WMI queries, yeah, to get the type of the hard disk that is within my notebook. Yeah, we can check the smart status. We can just do a ping. Yeah, whatever is needed, we can get it into the inventory. We can get also the content of a file to the inventory. So let's say you have specific setting files where you have server names in it. Yeah, we can get that information into the appliance as well. And once it is here in the appliance, we can filter on those informations. Yeah, so I can say, for example, please show me all clients that have a BitLocker key. Yeah, or all clients without an SSD or whatever. Yeah, so a lot of information that can be available. And as I said, it's for Windows, Mac, and Linux. So we can cover a lot of information here in one place then. But if you think about a little bit about other devices, I mean, we not only have laptops, desktops, servers where we can install an agent, we also have devices that are connected to the network, but they're, let's say, dumb devices. Yeah, so like a switch, like a printer, access points, yeah, those kind of devices we also need to know. And as you can see here, for example, we can also add agentless devices. So via SNMP or SSH, we can add those network connected devices to our inventory as well. So I have added my Dell network switch here. And the great thing is we are also getting the warranty informations out of those devices. Yeah, so if you have Dell switches or HP or Lenovo hardware in your environment, we are always getting the warranty information here into the appliance so that you can run reports out of those informations to see when the support will expire, for example. But we are also getting all SNMP data here. So we are doing a full walk of SNMP. And as you can see here, the list is very, very long. And then we can link specific information based on the OIDs to our inventory. Yeah, so we have the whole information base here, but we can also link specific settings. So for example, the network interfaces will always be linked to this section here, but I have added also the status of my ports here. Yeah, so these are OIDs that I have linked in the background to that specific part of the inventory. And I have added, for example, within my nodes, the location of the switch. Yeah, so we have a lot of information available. With the agentless devices, we are only getting informations. But anyway, we need to know what is running in our network. Yeah, so we need to know which network connected devices are connected, yeah, which are known devices, because I mean a Raspberry or so, these are so small devices, we don't really see them, yeah, if we are going through an office. So we need to know what is connected, and to make that sure, to see what is connected to our network, we can run network discoveries as well. So that means we can run a discovery, for example, just for a ping here. Yeah, so I can choose my local network here, for example, and then I have only my ping, or I can scan for a specific WinRM port or for other things like SNMP or SSH. And then I can see which devices are connected to my inventory or not. So if I have a link here, this is a known device for us. And if I switch back to all items, I can see, for example, in another IP range, I have unknown devices. Yeah, so I don't have a host name for that device, and this device is not added to my inventory. So I need to make sure, or I need to check what device it is, yeah, where it is, and then I can add that to my DNS. I can add it to the inventory to see, okay, this is a switch or an access point, whatever. So that we know what is running and that no one is sniffing some kind of data within the network. But with all of that, we also have assets that are not connected to our network. Yeah, I mean, Uli said that, yeah, maybe the coffee machine, but maybe some coffee machines already have a network connection. But we also have things like maybe a docking station, monitors, keyboard and mouses, or mobile printers, mobile scanners. Yeah, there are so much assets within our environment that don't have a network connection, so where we are not getting automatically information, but where we also need to take care of, and especially about hardware that a user is getting. Yeah, so we need to make sure that we know what the user got in the past. So like a laptop, a docking station, 2 monitors for their home offices, a keyboard, a mouse, yeah, a mobile phone, whatever. And with our asset management, we can make sure that we can add those devices as well. So basically, out of the box, we have several asset types available here, like our devices within the inventory or contracts, licenses, locations, etc. But you can also add your own asset types here. I have added my mobile contracts. I'm sorry, this is in German, but these are my mobile contracts or SIM cards. And then with our custom asset types, we can just add our fields that we want to have, and each field can have its own type. So it can be a date field, a number or text field, a currency, an attachment, or other asset types. So here, in this example, I have linked the SIM cards to my mobile contract so that I can say, okay, I have one contract here and I have multiple SIM cards assigned to that contract. Yeah, because maybe the user has a mobile phone, a tablet, or maybe in the company car has a SIM card in his laptop, yeah. So that we can have a link between the SIM cards and our contracts, and so that we then have those informations also available within our asset management here. And the great thing is, as I said, we can create whatever asset type you want, yeah. Cup of coffee, cocktail glasses, keyboards, mouse. As I said, it doesn't really matter here. And then we can assign that to our users. We can have an overview about the users, what the user got in the past. And of course, at the beginning, everyone is asking, hey, can we maybe import some assets? We have it somewhere available in an Excel sheet or in other third-party tools. Yes, we can. Yeah, so we can import assets. We can import CSV files to our asset management, so that we can make sure that we have a base of assets within the asset management here at the beginning, so that you don't need to create any assets on your own manually. Of course, in the future, we then need to manually modify or add assets here, but we have also an app available for this appliance. And this is pretty great because we can also scan barcodes with that app. So for example, for Dell hardware, the service tag barcode is automatically added to the device assets. We can scan this barcode, and then we are getting within that app directly information about this asset, this inventory. We can execute scripts or software deployments within the app and can modify informations if we want to do that. Yeah, so here we have our classic management. We cover laptops, desktop servers, network devices, whatever you want, but we also have, of course, smartphones, tablets, yeah, those kind of things. And for that, we have our KACE Cloud Mobile Device Manager. This is a software as a service solution. This is hosted within Europe in the Netherlands in the Azure Data Center Europe West. And of course, you're getting your own tenant, everything is encrypted, and then you can enroll with the help of that solution, your iOS and Android devices as well. But as you can see, we are also moving a little bit in a modern way of management with Microsoft and Mac as well. Yeah, so we are supporting iOS, Android, macOS, Windows, and Apple tvOS within our MDM as well. For example, to use a Microsoft Autopilot with the MDM, to enroll Mac to the MDM. And of course, we can manage iOS, Android devices. If I choose one device, we have several options here. We can factory reset devices. We can do operating system updates. We can, of course, deploy apps or exchange accounts, etc. So everything that we maybe need to deploy to the mobile devices, we can do that as well. But the greatest thing here is that we can link that to our SMA. And that means we have in this one inventory again, all our devices. Yeah, so if I click here on my iPhone, I can see that this iPhone came from my KACE Cloud Mobile Device Manager. I can see a little bit of summary within our inventory, as we know that from our laptops, etc. And of course, I'm getting all the mobile informations like email, serial numbers. I can get the information about installed apps, yeah, installed programs, same as we are getting into our inventory for laptops, etc. And I can perform some quick actions like clear a passcode, factory reset the device. I can upgrade the operating system from here. So this is pretty great, I guess, because we have one centralized inventory where we collect all the data, and we can, of course, do some actions here that we need for our daily business. So pretty great functionalities here. And if needed, we can use modern ways of management like the Microsoft Autopilot to enroll Windows devices, use Apple device enrollment programs, yeah, with the Apple Business Manager for Mac or iOS devices or iPad OS, so that we can have from both worlds the full capabilities to manage a device. And of course, for Windows, yeah, that we have our classic management here and the modern way in the MDM. Yeah, and now if we know what is running in our network, we have our inventory, we know what software is running on the devices and which versions, etc. We need to make sure what we can deploy here. Yeah? So we want to deploy maybe software. Yeah? I mean, if I'm getting a new client, I need to do something with that client. I need to deploy my Office, my 7-zip, or my default software. And especially once I have deployed it, I want to make sure that all the software and the operating system is up to date at any time to make sure that no vulnerabilities are open. So how we can do that with the SMA? Basically speaking, we can deploy whatever software you want. It doesn't matter for us. We can deploy MSI executables. We can just copy paste an application to your clients. Whatever is needed, we can do that. The managed installation part is our basic part to install software. If we are adding MSI files to that software installation, this is pardon. This is always the easiest part, because with MSI files, our application is automatically detecting that this is an MSI file. We are automatically adding parameters like silent install and no reboot. So you don't need to do anything else except adding that MSI file. Just click the default installation. In the next part, we can add our devices, single devices or groups of devices to that software, maybe notify the user if that is needed, save it, and then we can run it on the devices and we can directly deploy software. So MSI files, always the easiest part. But of course, we sometimes have MST files or zip files where multiple files are included. Yeah, we can do that as well. So we can override the installation. If you maybe have existing installations based on scripts, like PowerShell or batch scripts, we can just add the zip file here. I can add my command line, install batch, whatever, with parameters that we need. And then we can just easily deploy it to the devices, and that's it. And of course, once it is here within the appliance, it's automated. And it doesn't matter if I'm executing that on 1 or 500 or 1,000 PCs, the appliance will deploy that to the agent. But we have also another way of installing software. So this is a really basic way here. Of course, we can have an order, but I mean, we have sometimes also a bit more complicated software where we maybe need to check for requirements, where we need to make sure that something is installed. And this is why we have our scripting part here. And with that scripting part, we can execute whatever you want on the system. It can be just a script, like a PowerShell or a shell script for Mac and Linux, but it can be also a software installation, for example. And if I choose here my operating system, as you can see, it is for Windows, Mac and Linux available, but I just want to choose Microsoft to have all the Microsoft commands here. And the first difference is to the managed install, we are not only executing that script in the local system, we can also choose another user. So that means if I maybe need to have access to a network share or something different within my network, I mean, with my local system, I never have that access to my network. So I can add a user that have specifically rights to that specific network share, for example. I can add that user here, and then I can just execute that script under this user context, and then I can have access to my network or whatever is needed. I also have notification capabilities here. I can schedule the script if needed. But if I now open a new task, the most customers ask me, hey, do we need to learn a new script language or so? No, we don't need that. We just need to know what we want to do, because we have prepared a lot of functionality for you here, and you just need to click on that, what you want to do, and then the appliance is doing that for you. So for example, if we want to kill a process, we just need to add the executable here that it's running, save the changes, that's it. The process will be killed on the system, and we can install an Outlook at it, for example. But we can do a lot of more stuff. We can check the registry for whatever you want. If a key exists, if a specific value is exactly or greater or less than, we can check whatever is within that registry, but we can also check for specific file operations. If a file exists or if a file version is exactly, etc. And as I said, we just need to put in directory file and equals to. That's it. We don't need to know what command is running in the background. We just need to put in our data here, and that's it. And of course, we can add multiple tasks. We can verify if specific things are there. On success, we can move on with an installation, or if not, for example, with the Outlook add-in. If Office is not installed, we can install Office. In the next task, we can install the Outlook add-in. So this is a pretty great functionality. And as I said, it doesn't matter what we are executing here. Whatever is needed on the system, we can do that. We can also just execute a batch file if that is needed. Put in the code here and save it and run it on the systems. So pretty great functionality here. And once software is installed, as I said, we want to make sure that everything is up to date. So we have a patch management available within the appliance. We have our own catalog that is developed and managed by Quest. And we are supporting Microsoft and third-party software. Unfortunately, Apple restricted the Mac operating system updates with the last Big Sur update. So we are working on that one, that we are getting it into the MDM as well. But currently, Windows is supported, and around about 60 third-party vendors, as you can see here. So the most common vendors, like Adobe, Amazon, Apple, Atlassian, Box, Cisco, Citrix. So a lot of vendors are supported here. And our patch management is pretty great, because it's much better than a Windows Server update services that we probably know. Because we are only downloading files that are detected as missing. So we are not downloading the whole catalog to the appliance. We are only downloading the signature files here. As you can see, I have around about 13,000 patches available within my catalog, around 2,300 active patches, but I have just a space used of 1.7 gigabyte. So that means we are only downloading signature files to check if that update is missing on the client or not. And if the update is missing, we are downloading all the needed files. How we do that? We have schedules that we can create. So whatever scenario is needed, we can run it here. We can run first only a detection job here to detect what is generally missing in our environment. Then we can have different deployment jobs, like for a test group, for different locations, different departments. Whatever you want to do, we can do that. And of course, we can also create groups of patches that we want to deploy. Yeah, so if you say, okay, we want to first deploy all Microsoft security updates, we can do that. And afterwards, all third-party vendors, yeah, whatever is needed, we can filter groups for devices and patches, and then we can run those schedules here for our environment to make sure that all software and the operating system is always up to date. We also support Windows feature updates. Same as in the patch management, we have our catalog here with the feature upgrades. We are working currently on the Windows 11 support for our patch catalog, but I guess in the next few weeks we will get that support. Same principle, we have our schedules here. We can only run a detection. We can deploy those feature upgrades. And if needed, we can also do an on-demand patching for those feature upgrades so that the user can decide when they want to upgrade their systems, because I mean, it's a bit bigger update than the normal patching here. So we have different options to make sure that all the updates will be deployed to the system with less impact on the user side. Especially for Dell hardware, we also have our Dell update catalog here. I will switch to my online appliance here. So same as in patch management and Windows feature updates, here are BIOS drivers and firmware updates available for Dell hardware. That means we are not only covering the Dell Latitude and Optiplex, for example, we are also covering PowerEdge servers. As you can see here, we can also upgrade iDRAC or the lifecycle controller. So this is a pretty great capability to keep the hardware drivers up to date. And as well as in the patching, we have schedules. We can only detect missing updates. We can deploy them on specific timelines. Whatever is needed, we can run it here. And we are also trying to get HP and Lenovo, for example, into that one, but currently it's only available for Dell. Last but not least, within the patching, we are also supporting Linux package upgrades. We are currently don't have our own repositories within that appliance, so we are using the repositories that are available on the local client. But here again, schedules that we can run, we can detect all missing updates, we can deploy all missing updates. So great capabilities if we just want to keep the Linux devices up to date as well. And as I said within the presentation, I mean, we will always have vulnerabilities. Yeah, we all know that we are not 100% secured, just that everything is up to date. So we have a vulnerability scanner available for Windows, Mac, and Linux. And that means we can scan for vulnerabilities on a separate catalog. Yeah, so we can make sure, for example, if we are getting informations like, hey, there's a log here, Wannacry, Meltdown Inspector, Emoted, and whatever virus is outside there, we can scan for vulnerabilities on the systems. And you all know the CVE numbers that we are normally getting or that the vendors are publishing. Yeah, the CVE numbers are stored within a catalog. And with that catalog, we are scanning the device. I mean, this is a clean Windows 11. I'm very happy that we don't found any vulnerabilities here. But for this one, we can see, okay, which vulnerabilities are scanned. Yeah, so it's just the Windows Internet Explorer and 175 other vulnerabilities that are maybe opened. But yeah, it's a clean Windows 11. Everything is secured. Everything is great. But of course, if we know for a specific viruses outside, we can run reports for those specific CVE numbers to see if a device is affected by the vulnerability or not. Yeah, so we can make sure that we know if we are affected of those vulnerabilities or not. If there is a patch available, of course, we can run automatically a patch or force a patching to those devices where the vulnerability is open. But if not, we can definitely make sure and tell the customer maybe or the user, hey, user, we have some vulnerabilities open. We can't fix that yet. Please be aware of any kind of emails. Yeah, as Uli said, we have different risks here with emails, with USB sticks, where we need to make sure that no one is installing any kind of virus to the devices. So this is pretty great functionality within our mobile devices. The mobile devices are normally getting these updates within the app stores, so we can keep apps also automatically up to date with specific settings that we can deploy through the MDM here, so that we can make sure that those devices are also secured then. And last but not least, we want to deploy some specific policies. Maybe we need to check for specific administrator privileges. We need to make sure that we are compliant. So all of these things we can also cover, especially with the policies. I mean, if we have a new device and we installed our software, we did a patching, and then the user is logging into this device. And then normally we also need to do some things, like configure an Outlook profile, specific Outlook settings, maybe put an Outlook signature to the device, control USB ports, etc. All of this stuff we can also automate. And we have a product for that is called Desktop Authority. Desktop Authority needs to run on a Windows server because we are connected to the Active Directory. This is only running on Windows operating systems. But with that, we can configure the whole profile. We can deploy policies to the client to make sure that we also set some security settings here. Of course, we could do that with the scripting module of the appliance, but here we have a GUI to make it a bit easier for you to deploy those stuff. And here, basically, we can cover all the GPO stuff. So we could upload the Admx files from the GPOs to deploy those settings as well. And the great thing is we can deploy settings all over the world. So we can make that product externally available. Same for the SMA, for example. So that we just need an internet connection, and then the client will connect to the appliance or to the Desktop Authority management suite here. And then we can make sure that we can always push out some specific settings, software, or patches. And what we can cover here, as I said, we can configure the whole user profile. So it starts with maybe display settings. We want to set a wallpaper. We maybe want to rename the My Computer. So if I go to my client here, my computer here is renamed with the computer name. I have set a wallpaper in the background. I got some network shares here. I have added some specific shortcuts here. So a lot of stuff that we can automatically deploy. And as I said, we can also control USB or ports in general. So if we don't want to use, I mean, CD, DVD is not dead, but I mean, all the new laptops don't really have a CD, DVD writer. But I mean, we could control that port. And as you can see, we are not only controlling the USB ports, we can control whatever port is needed. But especially for USB ports, we could say, okay, USB ports are denied, but we are allowing USB printers or scanners. And especially for USB sticks that you maybe purchase centrally, that are maybe encrypted or so, we can add USB device exceptions here. So we can add the vendor and product ID and the serial number, maybe if that is available from those USB sticks. And then only those USB sticks are allowed to connect to the PC. So this is pretty great to make sure that not any USB stick can be connected to that device, and to make sure that not maybe someone at the airport is connecting a little USB stick to the device and no one is seeing that. So we can handle that pretty great. And the great thing here is we have a bit better filter capabilities as in the GPO. I mean, in the GPO, of course, we have our organization units. We can maybe add WMI queries to filter on operating systems. But here with the validation logic, it's just a click away. So we can here filter on specific operating systems. We can choose the timing when it will be executed. We can also choose if it is only in setting for off or on the network. And if we want to extend that rule here, we can add additional rules like again, organization units, a specific site, specific user or computer group. And we can also add the IP range, for example, yeah, to make sure that every user is getting the same settings wherever he's logging into the client. Yeah, as I said, we can also upload Admx files. So whatever setting you are deploying through the GPO, we could cover that as well. So for example, here, access security settings, where I've uploaded my Admx file. And the great thing here is we have not that overloaded group policy management console. Yeah. Once I have added the Admx files, I can choose my specific Admx file only for my Microsoft Excel settings, for example, and I only see the settings for Excel here. I can see where I have set up some settings. And that makes our life a bit easier because we don't have that overloaded overview about all GPO settings that we ever had. And here we can then just easily set our user or also device settings. Yeah, so we can also cover device settings through that Admx files, so that we can make sure that we can deploy our security policies to make sure that, for example, macros are not automatically run on the client, or that no one can download things from the internet if it is not trusted. So great capabilities here to automate the user profile settings, but also to deploy GPOs, because I mean, through Corona, we had seen a lot of customers that struggled a little bit, because I mean, for GPOs, we need kind of VPN connection, and especially for computer settings, maybe where we need to restart the client, we are not always can deploy those settings because the VPN connection is not established during the logon. So that it is really, really hard to deploy those kind of settings to the clients. Yeah, as you had seen, we can cover drive mappings here. We can add registry settings if needed. We can do that in the current user context or on the local system. And as you had seen, it's pretty easy to use that. Yeah, I mean, we can just choose current user. I put in my key and value, maybe the type of the registry key. That's it. So it's pretty great. And with that, we can configure the whole profile, Outlook profile. We can manage signatures for our Outlook users here. The signature can be centralized, managed here. We can use AD variables here to get the username, to get the email address and mobile phone number, for example. So a lot of functionality here also available within the sub-authority. And one great thing is that we also have a remote control available here. So if we want to support our users, we can do that with the remote control of the sub-authority here. Hopefully it will work today. Yeah, unfortunately not. So this remote control is pretty much there not only to remote control the client, we are combining a lot of tools here. So that means we have, for example, an event viewer available remotely within the browser. We have a task manager available. We can modify the registry if needed. All of this stuff, like admin console, we can restart drivers. We can set up some settings within the UAC, for example. So a lot of stuff that is available within that remote control. Unfortunately, it seems that it is not working today. I'm very sorry. I tried here with that one. Launch it. It's not working today. I'm very sorry. I would like to show you that, but I mean, this remote control is pretty great because we have combined a lot of tools here. This is available within the browser, yeah, so you don't need kind of admin tools like system terminals, etc., that we are normally using. This is also available all over the world. Yeah, we can make it available through the internet so that we can also remote control our home office users, and this is running in your local environment, or of course, if it is needed, within an Azure server to make sure that the server is always available. And yeah, so with this, we have really great capabilities to manage the whole system. As I said, with SMA MDM, we can cover the classic and modern way of management for Windows, Mac, and Linux. Linux is not available within our MDM, but of course iOS and Android. We can cover the whole life cycle of a client. If we are getting a new client, we can install all our software. We can maintain all our clients with an automatic patch functionality. We can add our assets. We can link that to our users. And of course, we have our software deployment and scripting available. Within the SMA, that wasn't covered yet, is also in Service Desk available. And out of the box are around about 200 reports available, for example, to see when the warranty of your Dell, HP, or Lenovo devices will expire. So we are trying to do the first start for you as easy as possible. And especially if you want to test the products, of course, we are definitely here to help. As I said at the beginning, just give Ricardo a little shout and tell him, hey, we are interested in that. And then we are having another meeting to speak about that in detail. And with that, I give it back to Uli. I will stop my presentation here.
Okay, done. I will share my screen again. Thank you, Sven, for the great demo. And let me share my presentation again. So you got a lot of details, and I think it was very interesting what you showed, but it was a lot of information, of course. So I just want to give a little recap to summarize what we're doing. And as you saw, a lot of aspects around securing the device, managing the device, but it's actually all around the whole life cycle of a device. And just to give you this recap, what we're doing with KACE is really from the actual provisioning, the deployment of the device over a scripted or image installation, or nowadays often use the autopilot function to provision a system, or also for iOS and Android devices, we are able to manage those mobile devices in different ways. And then the day-to-day job, what we saw, the inventory, the management of and configuration of profiles, software deployment, reporting, all that is included. And the third part is the security part, where we put a big focus on this presentation today. So all the patching features from the operating system to the application, again, the policy and configuration enforcement with vulnerability scanning and the port security. We didn't really take a look at the service desk today. We only have 1 hour. That's why this part was a little bit short, but it also includes a full service desk with a user portal, ticketing feature, and even like complete process workflows, which can be done with a service desk, including approval steps, SLAs, which are important. And unfortunately, we were not able to show you the remote control feature, but I assure you it's working very, very great. Sometimes in a test or demo environment, sometimes there can be some little problems. So that just as a little recap for you, what KACE all does. And yeah, to come back to the original topic, the security and the ensuring that we check for possible vulnerabilities and to fix those vulnerabilities on systems. We have also very interesting articles about that. One I like is the article about the Wannacry vulnerability and how you can easily tackle those vulnerabilities. Technically, this works for any kind of ransomware vulnerability in a very similar way. It's basically just an example how we can address those kind of ransomware vulnerabilities with KACE. And if you remember also another kind of vulnerability, the Spectre and Meltdown vulnerability, where actually the problem lied more on the hardware side. where we have great features with our Dell update functionalities, for example, or to update BIOS, firmware and drivers. So this is also great article I can recommend to take a look at this. So now we basically at our end of the presentation, as Sven already said. If you have any question, you can always contact us or directly Ricardo from Tech Data. We are happy to set up another demo, maybe for your specific scenario, what you're looking for, we also offer a test, the possibility to test our solutions. So let us know if that is interesting for you, and we're happy to assist you with that. Ricardo, question: do we have any questions in the chat?
I don't think so. Em português. Se tiverem alguma questão, podem colocar no chat em português ou em inglês, que se for necessário faça a tradução. Se não tiverem, penso que podemos dar por encerrado o webinar. I was just saying, if they have any question, they can put it on a chat in Portuguese or English. If not, I think we can. We are right on time. we can close the webinar. Your presentation was very good, very detailed. So I guess not many questions, since it was very well explained.
Thank you, Ricardo.
Thank you.
Maybe one question we usually get is obviously, how is that all licensed? And maybe I just give that information to everyone if you maybe had this question. So the license is very, very simple. So you license everything per device. We have different products you saw today. So what you saw today was our system management appliance. That is the main appliance, which includes the inventory, the software deployment, also the patching functionality and the vulnerability scan part. So this is all included, and you license it per device. Then we have a separate part for the mobile device management, which integrates in the system management appliance. So you have all the devices actually in one interface, and this would also be licensed per device. And we saw also the desktop authority part, which enables the management of the user environment. And also this one is licensed per device. So pretty simple and straightforward, one license per device.
Okay, thank you, Ulrich. Maybe that was one of the questions. It's clear. So I think we can end the session. It's almost 4 o'clock. So thank you again very much for your presentation. Was great. It's recorded, so we will share it with the attendees. So thank you. Obrigado a todos, toda a gente que esteve presente. A apresentação será depois então partilhada. Se tiverem alguma dúvida posteriormente, podem colocar diretamente a mim ou à Quest. E mais uma vez, obrigado pela vossa presença e o resto de um bom dia. Thank you, Uli, Sven. Have a rest of a nice day. Thank you very much for
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for attention. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Have a nice day.